BlueRaven has been a good friend and just so wonderfully accepted my invitation to be a co-facilitator on the group on Thursdays. Because, with me, all of my experience is a first generational MK Ultra. Um, we were the test pilots, and we were the guinea pigs that they used to precipitate the programs that they are using right now in the psychotronic warfare and the transhumanization. So she is the specialist in it. And so she helps so many people in my group, and I am so thankful that she has joined my as a co-facilitator of that group. Um, to tell you more about Solaris uh, and what she's going to be about today is psychotronic warfare and transhumanism. Those are some interesting words. Uh, Solaris is a published author, a public speaker, a timeline astrologer. Um, she is a MT healer, a remote viewer, a clairvoyant, an assessment specialist in psychotronic warfare, synthetic telepathy, and covert technology. She is a world-class natural psychic and a cosmic advisor. Miss BlueRaven has been a test pilot for Covert Technology and has a professional background in surveillance. She has investigated global anomalies in addition to her current research. She is a professional writer and with several books in covert technology and psychotronic warfare. You can purchase her books on Amazon. Her books are Transmutation Through Ascension, a 2004 publication, Eye of the Remote, Black Operations in Areas Beyond, and that is an important book for anybody who is that an experience. Of course, both of them are, but the Eye of the Remote is really helpful. And Mr. Sun and the Halloween Ball is their other publication. Program Deception, Eye of the Remote Series 2, it was a 2012 book, and 1 Million Miles to Midnight, which is her book coming soon. So Solaris has a DVD documentary called Eye of the Remote, a disclosure of covert technology, which is available on her website, Night Shadows Anomaly Detectives. She is a producer, director, and founder of the Raven Star Films and Night Shadow Anomaly Detectives. Miss BlueRaven is a public speaker and has been many places. We've spoken together at a couple of conventions. She has a professional background in and is trained off-world with a universal approach and to navigate to timelines in the earth and the realm. Solaris BlueRaven hosts her own radio show called Raven Star Witching Hour each Saturday, 12 midnight, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Also, she has Hyperspace at Dark Matter Radio Network on Tuesday at 7 p.m. So, hi Solaris, how are you doing? And thank you for being with me today.
Hi, Miesha, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. And that's quite a mouthful, isn't it? That's a lot of
Yes, it is.
Probably should have just sent you a thing that says, I'm just an off-worlder. I'm not from
here. But I wanted everybody to know your background. And when you start talking, they're going to understand why you know so much. And, that you are so, you are an advanced soul. That is for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Been around on and off planet. I'm sure you have too.
Yes. So Lars, what are you doing now? And tell them about, I know that you do readings, things like that. So tell us what you're doing.
Well, right now I'm wrapping up my book, 1 Million Miles to Midnight, doing my timeline astrology as guided when people contact me for readings or sessions, working on the radio shows, and just trying to keep myself ahead of the game board insofar as what's going on here on the timeline, and then helping you out with your group on Thursday. So just kind of plugging along and maintaining a higher balance and observing things from a parallax view versus the drama, as you know, of what's going on in the timeline, because it gets pretty strange here.
It does. Yes, it does. Well, so Solaris, tell them your website.
Night Shadow Anomaly Detectives.
.com?
Yeah, you can just type in Night Shadow Anomaly Detectives and I'll pull it right up.
Okay, perfect. So then you please go to her website. You can kind of be checking out her website while she's talking. And so, first of all, in case there are some people here that do not know these terminology of these very unusual words that have come to be really commonplace for us. Please kind of go through some of them. Like, first of all, what is synthetic telepathy?
Okay, synthetic telepathy is basically a hijacking of your natural telepathic centers. And what they do in these covert departments is they'll map your neural circuitry, your psychic centers, your four-body system. They map your entire electromagnetic field. And they do this through an array system that's satellite-driven. And they'll take your database of information, your brainwave template, and they'll interface it onto an artificial telepathy program with live feed real-time communication system, which is what happened to me in 2004. And this is how I decoded the technology. So you're dealing with a synthetic version of natural telepathy using supercomputer driving systems, satellite-driven technology, live handlers, programmers, operators, controllers. And also there is the problem with the synthetic telepathy is that it's used for mind control. It's used to insert dialogue, information that's not accurate, or sometimes it is, depending on what the handler wants to acquire or achieve through the target. So it can get really nasty, but that's the gist of it.
And voice to skull, that's part of it as well.
Well, the voice to skull, yeah, that was back in the early days when they started defining things. I think that's more of an earlier term. Nowadays, people are upgrading it to artificial telepathy because that's really what it's about. And of course, the military has been contracted with quote unquote synthetic telepathy, artificial telepathy for a very long time. So we're dealing with what we call artificial telepathy because when you say voice to skull, people think it's woo woo. I have nothing against it in the illusion of, but once I know the technology and I've researched it, experienced it, I'm well aware that this is artificial telepathy. That's exactly what they're doing.
Well, good. Well, that helps me with my terminology and how I'm going to be presenting things myself because because I didn't know it was an older term. So
it is. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it is an older term from what I understand. Yeah, that's what they used to use it.
And well, I'm an older broad, so that's probably right. Okay, so how about remote neuro monitoring?
The neural remote monitoring is almost the same thing. Basically, this is in the old days. They used to use an array system and a signal to remotely influence a target, and sometimes using a signal transmission affecting the neural circuits in the brain. So it's very similar, but most of the time with the remote neural monitoring, it's more like imposing information, but not necessarily the artificial telepathy. It depends on how they're mapping the centers. That's something, once again, that they were using a while back, and they've enhanced everything to such a point where people are actually more subjected to psychotronics and the artificial telepathy. But the neural remote monitoring is a brainwashing system. It's done remotely. You can get it done in your house or at work. I mean, it doesn't matter where you are on the map. You can get triangulated just like anything else with the satellite-driven technology.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense because in my groups, of course, I find that there are people who have had that are in the middle-aged area, and so they've had both. They started them out with the helmets and the remote neuro, and now they've graduated onto the complete artificial telepathy and the synthetic telepathy.
Yeah, I think that's because they're using artificial intelligence now more so than they were in the old days. In the old days, it was just kind of like a subhuman computer system. Now they're using something that's more advanced with AI. And that's why you're seeing the quantum jump to artificial telepathy and psychotronics and people being almost uploaded to being super soldiers who are being recruited. It's an enhancement program, or it's an interrogation and assault program, depending on what they want to do with their target.
Mm-hmm. And so what about transhumanism? What is that?
Well, that's the agenda of what's going on now. I'm sure people have heard this buzzword across the board.
Sure.
It's literally man integrated with machine, and that's part of the artificial telepathy. That's part of you being integrated with machine technology so that you are upgraded by an artificial intelligence designed and programmed by one.
So who do you think is behind this?
Well, it's really interesting. I've talked to a lot of different people. I'm well aware that they have their own man-made version of AI down in the undergrounds. So there's that version. And then there's another version, from what I understand, that's coming from a multiverse of some kind that's more of an extraterrestrial origin. So how far they got with that one, I'm not sure. How much access they have to that, I'm not sure. But I do know because, and you know this, I'm sure, how they reverse engineer technologies that are not from here. And that starseeds contain in their DNA celestial design work that can actually be reverse engineered and hybridized onto an artificial intelligence program and template. So once again, you have that database. We're all extraterrestrials. We're all starseeds, whether people acknowledge it or not. It's in there. It gets activated through frequency, and they can extract that. That's where the mylabs come in.
Yes. And so they want the mylabs because what would you say their biggest reason?
Extracting data mainly, and to run interference to a point where they create screen memories so that the target gets confused insofar as real contactees understanding what they're communicating with. You'll see that a lot where a real contactee has a real source connection, to an off-world species, and then they get interfered with a mylab, and then they get confused, and they have screen memories, manipulation programs, because they're trying to run interference. The last thing they want in national security is for starseeds to be fully engulfed in their avatar design, which is really their multidimensional design work, accessing other dimensional states of consciousness and other species, other information. They don't want that at all, as you well know, so that's part of their manipulation program in the underground.
Yes, it is. And I understand this completely, how someone can get so confused, because in my own experience, in trying to write my book years ago, it was very hard to figure out what was the actual ET contact and what was artificial intelligence or abductions by and being mylabs. It's very hard. And in the group, I see it all the time that someone will come in and they're just furious at an ET. They've had terrible experience, blah blah blah. And as they get into it more, they find out that it was kind of a fake ET contact. It was a fake experience that was brought on from the government. And tell people more about how they would do that.
Well, most of the time when they do something like that, what I will say is most contactees, obviously contactees and starseeds, we are the first contact. In other words, we are the species. Whether you acknowledge it or not, it doesn't matter. But once again, we don't come from here. We might enter onto a timeline, but we come from the stars. We go back to the stars. We are not from here. We are the aliens you seek. Bottom line. So when you're getting pulled into these control and manipulation programs, they're trying to extract the data. They'll use these covert departments to manipulate, so they can create some kind of an alter in the person, so that they can use them to their advantage as an asset of some kind. So a lot of the programming happens with psychotronic warfare, which is a form of artificial telepathy. It's an interface to the brainwave, targeting a brainwave onto almost like an EEG heterodyning and cloning, where they're interfering with the matrix of the target itself, overlaying with information based on psychotronics, which what they do once again is hijacking the psychic centers. So when you have psychic ability, they'll start to take that psychic ability and manipulate it through the array system and create all these weird visuals, like they're manipulating your dream time. But it's all engineered and it's all technical. So that's where the psychotronic programming comes in, where people see things. They say, I was here, I was there, I was taken here, I was taken there. But it was all done in their minds, and a lot of it was done through the psychotronic feed. Now, I'm not saying that people don't have off-world experience with off-worlders, but I will say, and I call them off-worlders, they don't control and manipulate. They already know what you're like. They can get into your head without even bothering you. They read and assess your energy grid. They don't need to do the things that they're doing in these undergrounds. And that's how you can tell who's in charge of what, because these malicious people that are controlling and manipulating, I can guarantee you, are two-legged humanoids. They are not in any form of design connected to off-world species, not the ones I've been around.
Mm-hmm. So I agree 100%. And so how would you say, could they tell the difference between, let's say, because of course, so much of the, as you say, the ET experience are of a contact nature. They already know. We don't even remember it. Whereas you're having these strange dreams that you having ET contact, or having taken here, taken there, doing strange things, fighting aliens, warring people. It's just strange stuff. Well, what would you say that would be?
Well, I would say that the technology, when you're getting interfered with and interfaced with the technology, it's very abrasive. In other words, it's not smooth and consciousness-oriented like it is with natural telepathy. When you have an ebb and flow with off-world species, or if you're channeling and bringing energy from a clear source of your higher self over, so superconscious merged with what I call your celestial guides or teams, it's very clear in transmission. There's no confusion. There's no manipulation. There's no trickster energies associated. These guys will manipulate so hard that it's so obvious that, first of all, you can measure it through certain technologies. You can measure the signals pinging. And secondly, most people will know, because it's not like a dream. It's not like you're astral traveling or being very lucid. It's so formulated and so digitized that it looks like you're watching a TV screen. It's that weird. It's that bizarre. So, not that we don't have a holographic world, and we're not holographic, but what they do is manipulate the hologram, and they make it worse. They distort it. They're creating a distortion on purpose.
I know that I have in my groups found out that many people right now are really being hit very hard with these kinds of dreams. They're really working overtime right now. Mm-hmm. Why would you say they're doing that?
I think they're trying to manipulate consciousness on a global scale, which means anybody who has any access to higher consciousness is going to be controlled and manipulated, so they can control the array system, but also control reality. It's about controlling reality. Anybody who can master consciousness is a threat. That's the bottom line, because you can change reality. You're a game changer. And once you're a game changer in consciousness and you know how the game board works, they'll go after you. So I think a lot of these people who have special gifts, maybe starseed abilities, get targeted, get attacked, get interfered with, so that they're busy enough, they're kept busy enough so they can't create anything on the timeline. And that's part of sabotage. That's what they're doing.
Yes, I can understand. I can attest to that. That happens a lot with me. That they do keep very busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's happened to me in the past when I was inducted. That's all they did was distract and program me the whole time. So, yeah.
Which when we come back, we're going to just sit on some more words. But then after that, so that everybody understands what Solaris is talking about, then we're going to be going on to Solaris's story. She has an amazing story. You'll understand more of how she knows what she knows and what went on with her. And I perhaps you people would also notice that similar things have happened to you. You know, we're going to go through a couple of the anomalies that people can look at to see, is this type of artificial intelligence being perpetrated on me? Are these things happening? Synthetic telepathy, the the artificial telepathy, and of course we're also going to be talking about everything from the I can't think what they call it, the nano information. What we're talking about, how it's affecting our world physically and how it spiritually is affecting, because Solaris is connected in both places very, very much. So we're going to be really hitting on a lot of great subjects. And I know she loves questions. So from the very beginning, after she finishes her story on the next one, that second hour is going to be open up to questions. And